Hi, good evening, everyone. I guess I'm audible. Let me know once.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay. By mistake, I sent you a different quiz link, not the updated one. Just a sec. Let me just update it in a bit. Okay. So in the meanwhile, don't attempt this quiz. Right, I'll be just deleting it. Okay. So we'll be going through with certain more topics today, right? And sharing with the quiz link for last week in just in a bit. Okay. So I guess you might have understood, or I guess you might have studied some part of, um, you know, this Linux yourself as well. And ultimately, we will be going through with certain more topics today, right? So ultimately, the point is that we will be going through with the cut, copy, paste commands, and I asked you to simply just check those out by yourself so that you can do it as a homework, right? So how many of you have did that? कितना लोगों ने किए? कितने लोगों ने ट्राई किया कट कॉपी पेस्ट किस तरीके से होता है? And the new updated link for the quiz is this. Here's the updated link for the quiz for the last week. ठीक है, इसको complete करो. And all the others, if you are able to listen to me, let me know if you have completed those cut, copy, paste commands that I gave you as the homework. If you have understood it, और अगर ट्राई किया है तो भी बता दो एक बार हाँ या ना मेरे को, so that I may know कि हाँ ये चीज़ हो गई है, and then we can proceed forward. ठीक है? Okay, Fazil has tried. That's great. Giving you 4-5 minutes to complete the quiz, right? We'll be starting just in a bit.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Oh, great. 5 out of 5. That's great. Congratulations, Fazil. Giving you 2-3 more minutes. Go around till the time I'm booting my Kali Linux. Sending the link once again for the people who joined late. This is the link for today's quiz based on the commands that we did in the last session. Okay, so as we were doing Sunstone thing over there, we were basically practicing on certain folders, right? So we created files and we were basically having the things ready. So I have the same folder set up as of now. You can go around with that. Okay, so 4 out of 5, that's great. Go more into it, right? Let's just end up with the quiz. What about others? Have you completed? I need more scores in the chats. 5 out of 5, that's great, great, great. Giving you 2 more minutes, then we will be starting with the session. Okay, so it's 8:39. Let's start with the session and we will be going on towards this particular thing. Timing का क्या हुआ यार, मेरे को भी अभी कोई रिप्लाई नहीं मिला है as such टाइमिंग का. ठीक है, तो अगर कुछ आता है तो गौतम सर आपको बता देंगे. ऑल्दो मैंने ये चीज़ बोल दी थी कि हम लोग जो है इसको 8 से 9 कर सकते हैं, तो दैट वुड बी रियली ग्रेट. ठीक है, सो लेट मी गो अराउंड, राइट? होप सो द स्क्रीन इज विजिबल and we have, yeah, everything set up. So this is basically what we were doing in the last session, right? We were going through with these kind of files where we were manipulating these files and we were just basically doing certain commands, right? And उन commands के through हम लोग को ये पता लग रहा था that how these files are being worked upon. So there are like certain files over here that we can see हमने files को compile किया था and we were basically able to just check out certain things in this file that how we can just use nano, save a file and compile a file and run it, right? Then we created a folder called as sample and ultimately फिर हम sample के अंदर कुछ और file या कोई और folder create करने का एक question पूछा गया था which we were looking into. Right. So the point is what we want to do over here today is we would like to basically check out how do I cut, copy, paste, move, and some of the other commands that are really needed to that are needed really needed when you want to basically use Linux, right? So ultimately हमने chmod तो देख लिया था, right? What it was doing? Any idea? अभी क्विज में भी इसका क्वेश्चन डाला था. What chmod was doing? It was changing the modifications, right? And how we used it? Any answers? Chmod. We used that command chmod with certain numbers. We used 7, 4, something, something. Right? Remember that command? Why is the chat silent? No, yes, ये बताओ काम क्या था उसका? Why we used it? एक बार दिखाओ. Okay. This one. So this particular command I was talking about. I've got one answer from Sanjeevan. That's right. What about others? execute the file, ठीक है. Change the directory. This is not to change the directory one. This is to change the permissions, right? Zoom कैसे कर रहे? हाँ, कंट्रोल शिफ्ट एंड प्लस, मतलब बेसिकली कंट्रोल प्लस एंड कंट्रोल माइनस. कंट्रोल प्लस से जूम, कंट्रोल माइनस से जूम आउट. ठीक है. So let's go ahead and और कमांड्स देखते हैं थोड़े से. ठीक है, अभी देखो क्या है. वी वर एबल टू बेसिकली, आई सेड दैट ये जो सैम्पल फोल्डर है इसके अंदर हमने कुछ बनाया था, राइट. एंड इफ आई जस्ट डू, और लेट्स गो इनटू अ डेस्कटॉप एज ऑफ नाउ. एंड इसके अंदर हम यहाँ पर सनस्टोन फोल्डर में हैं, राइट. तो वी आर बेसिकली लुकिंग इनटू दीज फाइल्स एंड वी नो दैट इसके अंदर ही फाइल्स एग्जिस्ट करती है. द पॉइंट इज आई वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि सैम्पल के अंदर क्या है, तो मैं एलएस करूंगा सैम्पल के अंदर. देखो नॉर्मल एलएस करूंगा तो आई विल बी एबल टू गेट द आउटपुट ऑफ करंट डायरेक्टरी. बट अगर मैं डायरेक्टरी दे दूंगा यहाँ पे तो आई वुड नो दैट सैम्पल के अंदर क्या है. तो सैम्पल के अंदर करंटली न्यू फाइल प्रेजेंट है. एंड इफ आई विल बी एबल टू, इफ आई ट्राई टू डिलीट सैम्पल फोल्डर with RMDIR, तो वो होगा नहीं. If I would do this RMDIR sample, it will not work. Why? Because ultimately it would say that sample directory is not empty. राइट. सैम्पल की जो डायरेक्टरी है वो एम्प्टी नहीं है अभी, बिकॉज सैम्पल फोल्डर इज अ राइट नाउ नॉन एम्प्टी फोल्डर. इट हैज अ फाइल ओवर देयर, एंड व्हेन इट हैज अ फाइल ओवर देयर इट वुडंट गेट डिलीटेड, राइट. I told you that RMDIR is used to delete the folders, but RMDIR can only delete empty folders. कोई अगर नॉन एम्प्टी फोल्डर है तो RMDIR उसको डिलीट नहीं कर सकता. एंड to delete an non-empty folder, you need to basically empty that folder. आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? You need to first of all delete the उसके अंदर वाला फाइल या फोल्डर, then you will be able to make it empty and then you will be able to do that, right. So what we have to do is we have to first of all empty the folder, and then ultimately we need to delete it. If a non-empty folder has data, then नॉन एम्प्टी फोल्डर के अंदर डेटा होगा, वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ. इफ यू वांट टू डिलीट अ होल फोल्डर, ठीक है, अगर कोई भी फोल्डर में कुछ भी हो, कोई भी डेटा प्रेजेंट हो, आपको पहले वो डेटा डिलीट करना पड़ेगा, तभी आप मेन फोल्डर को डिलीट कर पाओगे, राइट. यू हैव टू डिलीट द डेटा फर्स्ट, देन यू विल बी एबल टू डिलीट द डेटा, देन यू विल बी एबल टू डिलीट दैट फोल्डर, राइट. सो इट वुड वर्क इन अ सर्टेन मैनर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल कुछ ऐसा समझो that if you have something like this, let's say if you have something like you know a folder, right. मैं sample ही ले लेता हूँ यहाँ पे. let's say we have a sample folder. अब इस sample folder के अंदर let's say I have a file called as new file, ठीक है. then इसके अंदर मेरे पास और भी चीज़ें हैं. let's say that I have certain folders as well. यहाँ पे मेरे पास एक folder है और folder 1, ठीक है, folder 2 कह लेते हैं इसको. फिर यहाँ पे let's say I also have one more folder, folder 3, ठीक है. देन अल्टीमेटली माई न्यू फाइल, तो एक फाइल हो गई. उसके अलावा यहाँ पे फोल्डर 2 है. फोल्डर 2 के अंदर देयर इज अ फाइल, राइट. लेट्स से इट्स कॉल्ड एज फाइल 1 एंड दिस इज कॉल्ड एज फाइल 2, ठीक है. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज फाइल 2, ठीक है. तो दो फाइलें यहाँ पर हो गई हमारे पास बेसिकली. सो वी हैव लाइक टू फाइल्स इन दिस पर्टिकुलर फोल्डर. फिर फोल्डर 3 के अंदर मेरे को एक और फोल्डर मिलता है, फोल्डर 4, ठीक है. एंड अल्टीमेटली उसी के साथ साथ मेरे को यहाँ पर क्या मिलता है, मेरे को यहाँ पर एक फाइल भी मिलती है. आई एम हैविंग अ फाइल 3 इन दिस फोल्डर 3, एंड फोल्डर 4 के अंदर भी एक फाइल है, फाइल 5 या फाइल 4, लेट्स कॉल इट. सो आई एम बेसिकली हैविंग अ लॉट ऑफ फोल्डर्स एंड अ लॉट ऑफ फाइल्स, ठीक है. अभी मैं अंडरलाइन कर देता हूँ विच वर्ड्स आर फाइल्स. तो ये जो जिनको मैं अंडरलाइन कर रहा हूँ, दीज आर एक्चुअली द फाइल्स, ठीक है. ये वाली फाइल्स हैं जिनको मैं अंडरलाइन कर रहा हूँ, और बाकी ये जो सर्कल मैं जिस पे कर रहा हूँ, दीज आर माई फोल्डर्स, राइट. तो दीज आर माई फोल्डर्स ओवर हियर. अब ये फोल्डर्स हो गए अलग अलग, राइट. नाउ सैम्पल फोल्डर इज राइट नाउ हैविंग how many folders? Sample folder is right now having two folders, and हर folder के अंदर कुछ कुछ है, right. So it has two folders, out of which one folder has two files and one folder has a new folder and a file, and that new folder also has a folder, sorry, also has a file. So if I would basically use RMDIR on my sample, अगर मुझे पूरा का पूरा sample हटाना है, तो पहले मुझे इसके अंदर का सब कुछ क्लीन करना पड़ेगा. If I have to delete everything from inside, ठीक है. So the point is I need to first of all delete the whole things that we have inside, ठीक है. अब what would be the solution? Can I delete everything one by one? क्या मैं हर फाइल को एक एक करके डिलीट करूँ, या फिर मैं हर फाइल को ऑटोमेशन से डिलीट करूँ? What according to you should be the valid solution? Shall I go inside and delete all the files myself? Or shall I just use one of the automation or do some automation stuff over there जिसके through वो automatically सब कुछ delete करे, right? मतलब even in Windows we do that, right? We have a folder, we have certain files in it, we do shift delete or delete, it deletes the folder automatically, right? वो पूरा का पूरा folder automatically delete हो जाता है. That is a pretty simple thing in Windows. You just have to type in shift delete and the whole thing would get deleted, right? Easily. That is how Windows work, right? But वो actually में करता क्या है? How it is actually working? That लिनक्स ने इस चीज़ को बहुत ज़्यादा बेटर कर दिया है, राइट? सो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव हर्ड अबाउट रिकर्शन? कितने लोगों ने रिकर्शन का नाम सुना है? RECURSION. आई गेस द पीपल हु वुड बी डूइंग C++, डीएसए में सुना होगा रिकर्शन, राइट? अगर डीएसए, इफ यू आर इनटू डीएसए यू माइट हैव आल्सो स्टडीड योर मिनिमम स्पैनिंग ट्रीज, राइट? मिनिमम स्पैनिंग ट्रीज, बाइनरी ट्रीज, एंड उनके अंदर हम लोग यूजुअली रिकर्शन का इस्तेमाल करते हैं, राइट? व्हेन वी बेसिकली गो इनटू देम, एंड वी आल्सो यूज रिकर्शन फॉर लिंक लिस्ट, प्रिंटिंग द लिंक लिस्ट इन रिवर्स ऑर्डर, राइट? तो ये सब चीज़ें डीएसए में सुनी होंगी, राइट? आई हैव स्टडी डीएसए अ लॉट एंड अल्टीमेटली इट हेल्प्स अ लॉट, राइट, इन सिक्योरिटी एज वेल समटाइम्स, राइट? नॉट एवरी टाइम, ठीक है? मतलब अगर डीएसए वगैरह पसंद नहीं है तो साइबर सिक्योरिटी में एज सच कोई बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ नहीं है उसका. यू कैन ऑप्ट फॉर साइबर सिक्योरिटी टू लीव डीएसए बिहाइंड. डीएसए इज ऑल फॉर सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग स्टफ, राइट? सो अल्टीमेटली यहाँ पे हम रिकर्शन का ही इस्तेमाल करेंगे, राइट? टास्क टास्क इज परफॉर्म्ड अगेन एंड अगेन. आई गेस सबसे पहला प्रोग्राम सबने रिकर्शन का फैक्टोरियल वाला बनाया होगा, राइट? यू माइट हैव सीन दैट. फैक्टोरियल वाला प्रोग्राम कैसे चलता था? यू हैव दिस 5 फैक्टोरियल दैट यू हैव टू काउंट. तो आप अल्टीमेटली रिकर्शन में इसको कैसे बनाते थे? to basically make it 5 फैक्टोरियल निकालना है तो 5 फैक्टोरियल को आप क्या कर देते थे टू मेक दिस 5 इंटू फैक्टोरियल 4, राइट? फैक्टोरियल 4 होता था. फिर फैक्टोरियल 4 फिर से चलता था तो ये क्या करता था? 4 इंटू फैक्टोरियल 3 करता था, राइट? एंड देन फिर ये 3 वाला कैसे चलता था? 3 इंटू फैक्टोरियल 2 करता था, राइट? So function that is calling itself is basically your recursion, and this is called as a tail recursion. जो मैं अभी यहाँ दिखा रहा हूँ फैक्टोरियल वाला, एक नॉन टेल रिकर्शन भी होते हैं जो थोड़े से और एडवांस होते हैं, ठीक है? तो अल्टीमेटली ये फैक्टोरियल 1 हो गया और 1 पे ये क्या करता था? जो भी आपका आंसर है उसको 1 से मल्टीप्लाई कर देता था. तो अल्टीमेटली ये चलता था. सो फैक्टोरियल 1 वुड रिजल्ट इन 1, तो ये हो जाएगा इसका आंसर 2 इंटू 1, राइट? देन अल्टीमेटली फिर यहाँ 3 आ रहा है तो इसका टोटल आंसर निकल के 2 इंटू 1 आया जो कि 3 से मल्टीप्लाई होगा जाकर. फिर इसका पूरे का आंसर निकल के 4 से मल्टीप्लाई होगा. फिर इसका पूरे का आंसर निकल के 5 से मल्टीप्लाई होगा. मतलब अगर तुम ध्यान से देखो ये फैक्टोरियल गया तो इस तरीके से है, ठीक है? बट मल्टीप्लिकेशन होना स्टार्ट हुई रिवर्स ऑर्डर में, right? 1 would be multiplied with 2 because 2 would be then multiplied with 3, 3 would be multiplied with 4, 4 would be multiplied by 5, ठीक है? मतलब 1 इंटू 2 2 हो जाएगा, 2 इंटू 3 6 हो जाएगा, 6 इंटू 4 24 हो जाएगा, सॉरी 6 इंटू, हाँ ठीक है, 4 6 इंटू 4 24, 24 इंटू 5 हो जाएगा 120, ठीक है? तो अल्टीमेटली ये इस तरीके से चलेगा. इट वुड गो फ्रॉम बॉटम टू अप, राइट? बिकॉज हमें पता है दैट हमारा जो रैम सिस्टम है वो कुछ इस तरीके से चीज़ें संभालता है, राइट? मतलब जो कॉल्स होंगी सबसे पहले फैक्टोरियल 5 की कॉल इधर जाएगी, ठीक है? ये नीचे आप मान लो मेन फंक्शन है आपका, तो फैक्टोरियल 5 की कॉल इसके ऊपर जाएगी. एंड अल्टीमेटली रैम के अंदर ये जो स्टैक बिल्डअप होगा ये कुछ ऐसे होता जाएगा. फैक्टोरियल 4 फिर फैक्टोरियल 3, इट वुड गो अप. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इट विल कॉल ऑल द फंक्शंस, राइट? और जब ये वापस आ रहा होगा ना तो ये ऊपर से नीचे आ रहा होगा. एंड जब ये ऊपर से नीचे आ रहा होगा तब ये बेसिकली क्या करेगा? तभी बेसिकली एक मल्टीप्लाई करता चला जाएगा बिकॉज इट्स अ स्टैक, राइट? दैट इज वाई इट गोज फ्रॉम दिस पॉइंट टू दिस पॉइंट, मतलब एंडिंग से शुरुआत तक. मतलब जो लास्ट कॉल्ड फंक्शन है वो पहले कॉल होगा, राइट? फर्स्ट इन फर्स्ट आउट, वही बात, फर्स्ट इन फर्स्ट आउट थोड़ी ना हुआ, लास्ट इन फर्स्ट आउट हुआ, लीफो है ना, डिफो है, ठीक है? सो लास्ट इन फर्स्ट आउट हुआ, राइट? सो लास्ट इन फर्स्ट आउट वही स्टैक में जैसे काम चलता है, जो भी ऊपर होगा वो सबसे पहले काम करेगा, राइट? सो एग्जैक्टली इसी तरीके से मल्टीप्लिकेशन होती है. सो मल्टीप्लिकेशन इज नॉट दिस, एक्चुअली मल्टीप्लिकेशन इज 1 मल्टीप्लाइड विद 2, फिर 2 को 3 से करेंगे, 3 को 4 से, 4 को 5 से, इस तरीके से चलेगा. इन द सिमिलर सेंस वी विल डू दिस. पहले हम इसके अंदर रिकर्शन चलाएंगे जो बेसिकली न्यू फाइल, फोल्डर 2, फाइल 1, फाइल 2, फाइल 3, फाइल 4, फोल्डर 4 को डिटेक्ट करेगा और फिर एक एक को डिलीट करता चला जाएगा. पहले फाइल 4 को डिलीट करेगा, फिर फाइल 2, फिर फाइल 1, फाइल 3, हर एक को ही डिलीट करता चला जाएगा, ठीक है? मतलब रिकर्शन इज़ वेरी गुड थिंग बिकॉज रिकर्शन को अगर आप ध्यान से देखोगे तो इट वुड बेसिकली सीम लाइक ए ट्री ओनली। ठीक है, तो मतलब एक ट्री के जैसा दिखेगा। इवन आप टाइप करके देखना, देयर इज अ ईस्टर एग ऑन गूगल इटसेल्फ। डू यू नो दैट गूगल में जब आप कुछ गलत लिख देते हो तो लिख कर आता है डिड यू मीन समथिंग। लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर मैं स्टैक की जगह STCK लिख दूंगा तो वो मुझे बताएगा डिड यू मीन STACK, या शोइंग रिजल्ट्स फॉर STACK, राइट। बिकॉज यू हैव रिटन अ रॉन्ग स्पेलिंग, तो गूगल ऑटोमेटिकली उसको करेक्ट कर देता है। So this particular thing can only be done, can only happen when you have typed the wrong spelling. But if you go around and uh, write recursion, Google would show you that. Did you mean recursion? It would show you the right spelling if you even write the right spelling. You click on that particular link, it would again show you the same thing. So it's basically something that happens again and again, right? So that is also a recursion which they have created an Easter egg for, right? So ultimately यहाँ पे भी same चीज़ है। So we would be deleting file 1 first, then file 2, then file 4, file 3, folder 4, folder 2, new file. तो ये सब कुछ हम एक साथ delete करेंगे, right? And we would be deleting it in such a way that everything, every time that it would work, a recursion would happen. So first of all, file 1 will be deleted, फिर file 2 delete होगी, file 4 delete होगी, as they are in the lower stage. Then file 3 would be deleted. अब जब file 3 delete हो गई तो folder 4 empty हो गया. Now we can do rmdir on this particular folder, and then the folder 4 will get deleted. Folder 2 is now empty, can be used rmdir over here, right? Now folder 2 is also deleted. Then ultimately folder 3 is now empty, then you can do rmdir on folder 3, right? Because it is now empty. And then ultimately you will be deleting, you will be doing rm on new file, राइट। एंड अल्टीमेटली सारी फाइलों को डिलीट करने के लिए तो आर ही इस्तेमाल होगा, राइट। आर एम। सो ऑल द फाइल्स वुड बी डिलीटेड विद आर एम, राइट। सो दिस वुड ऑल्सो बी डिलीटेड विद आर एम। एंड अल्टीमेटली जब ये न्यू फाइल भी डिलीट हो जाएगी और ये फोल्डर 3 भी डिलीट हो जाएगा, द सैम्पल फोल्डर वुड रिमेन एम्प्टी। एंड अल्टीमेटली जैसे ही एम्प्टी होगा फिर इसको भी RMDIR से डिलीट कर दिया जाएगा। और दिस इज वॉट लिनक्स विल डू इनसाइड ऑटोमेटिकली। और ये करने के लिए आपको बहुत बड़ा ऑटोमेशन नहीं करना है। You just have to use rm command and it would do all this particular stuff with the recursion format। ठीक है, कैसे होगा ये चीज़ें कुछ इस तरीके से होंगी कि यहाँ पर आकर मुझे सिर्फ लिखना है rm dash rf एंड आई हैव टू गिव द सैम्पल फोल्डर नेम जो भी मुझे डिलीट करना है। अब मैंने देखो यहाँ पे दो स्विचेस दिए हैं, एक डैश आर एंड एक दिया है डैश एफ, right, these are two main switches that I have given over here to write the switches। मैंने basically इनको एक ही में लिख दिया to save the space as it makes sense, right। तो dash R क्या करता है, it deletes everything recursively। ठीक है, अगर मैं इसको क्या करूंगा, मैं यहाँ पे रिकर्सिवली इसको चलाऊंगा तो अल्टीमेटली ये रिकर्सिवली डिलीट करेगा इस चीज़ को, एंड अल्टीमेटली एक रिकर्शन में काम करेगा ये बेसिकली। ठीक है, तो अल्टीमेटली यहाँ पर मेरे पास क्या होगा कि यहाँ पर मेरे पास एक रिकर्शन बन जाएगा, राइट। एंड अल्टीमेटली इट वुड डू एवरीथिंग रिकर्सिवली ओवर हियर। तो ये डैश आर बेसिकली जो काम कर रहा है फिलहाल रिकर्शन के लिए कर रहा है। एंड द एफ इज बेसिकली फॉर फोर्स। अगर कोई फाइल खुली हुई हुई or if there is any particular warning that it would like to give me that you cannot delete because this is open, or are you sure you want to delete or something like that, it would do that, it would forcefully delete that file particularly। and make sure कि RMRF से आप जो भी delete कर रहे हो it would basically go around and delete everything। ठीक है, it would delete everything, कुछ भी नहीं छोड़ेगा ये, it would delete everything, it would not it would delete permanently, it would not take it to your this particular thing, your recycle bin, it would delete it permanently। ठीक है, so rm dash rf मुझे यहाँ पे लगाना है। this rf is basically R for recursion and F for forceful delete, and then you have to give the name of the folder। as soon as you give this, ठीक है, you just have to press enter, you see boom, your sample folder is removed, right। Because इसने पहले क्या किया होगा, it would have removed the file inside of it first, and then when the sample folder gets empty it would have done rmdir on it। ठीक है, so this is how rm works actually। rm का जो internal working है, that is how it particularly works। it deletes everything with a proper recursion, right। so rmdir को याद करने का कोई फायदा है नहीं, because rm can do everything and most of the times you will be using this particular command for deleting the folders, right। एंड अल्टीमेटली देखो, लिनक्स में सबसे पहले फोल्डर का नाम क्या है, स्लैश। स्लैश इज एवरीथिंग वेयर एवरीथिंग स्टार्ट्स, राइट। स्लैश इज द फर्स्ट फोल्डर इन लिनक्स जिसके अंदर सब कुछ होता है, राइट। सो अल्टीमेटली अगर आपने इसी को RMRF कर दिया, राइट, rm dash rf this particular thing, I can run this particular thing but I do not want to run this। ठीक है, अगर मैंने इसको रन कर दिया इस फॉरवर्ड स्लैश को अगर मैंने रन कर दिया, इट वुड स्टार्ट डिलीटिंग एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम माई लिनक्स विदाउट इवन आस्किंग ट्वाइस। ये क्या करेगा? फाइल सिस्टम, दिस इज योर मेन फाइल सिस्टम, इसी के अंदर सब कुछ है, एंड दिस लोकेशन इज कॉल्ड एज स्लैश। जैसे दूसरे पीसीज में, विंडोज में इट्स सी और डी और ई समथिंग लाइक दैट, इसमें ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है लिनक्स में। यू हैव फॉरवर्ड स्लैश एज द फर्स्ट फोल्डर, एंड एज सुन एज यू बेसिकली डिलीट स्टार्ट डिलीटिंग दिस, it would start deleting everything unless and until it would basically have to restart। ठीक है, मतलब क्या होगा? डिलीट होते 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 it would basically delete the deleted part और basically its own executable जिससे ये डिलीट कर रहा है, एंड जितना ये रैम में लोडेड होगा उतना ही बचेगा। एंड as soon as you are deleting it, right, when in the RAM a process would ask, basically a CPU would ask कि भाई मुझे process चाहिए, and when the RAM would basically start searching that process in the disk, and when it would see that the process does not exist, so it would show you an error that your Linux is needing a restart because it's stuck, right? You will basically get an error that cannot operate, it's stuck, and all these kind of thing. And unless and until you will restart, it won't work. And as soon as you restart, it wouldn't open क्योंकि लिनक्स खुद का बूट मैनेजर डिलीट कर चुका होगा। सो you the only option is you have to reinstall your Linux, right, and say tata bye bye to all your files and data. So this is that dangerous, running this particular thing right now. So if I just simply run it, it would start deleting everything, and it would delete the whole system unless and until it stops with an error and restarts to make everything um, end. So this is a pretty simple thing, right? Now I can just create a shell file, और shell file के अंदर मैं ये लिख सकता हूँ, and then I can send it to a friend saying, hey, try to execute this, I wrote an automation something something something। अगर वो check नहीं करके डॉट स्लैश करके उस shell file को चला देता है, the whole Linux would get bricked। He has to now reinstall the whole Linux, right? Now this is what we used to do when we were kids, and when we used to run Linux in our college times, right? School times, college times में, तब हम लोग बेसिकली अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ ये मतलब वी यूज्ड टू डू दीस काइंड ऑफ प्रैंक्स, राइट? सो दैट इज द थिंग, राइट? And yeah, this is basically how you can remove a particular thing from here, right? And yeah, आगे चलते हैं, let's basically try to understand what we were doing, right? So we are inside our Sunstone, right? And here in Sunstone we were basically have now understood that how do I remove a folder as of here। ओके, सो फोल्डर डिलीट कर दिया, फाइल को डिलीट करना आ गया, बट हाउ आई कैन कॉपी पेस्ट अ फाइल, राइट? सो लेट्स क्रिएट सैम्पल फोल्डर वंस अगेन, राइट, mkdir सैम्पल। एंड इस सैम्पल फोल्डर को भी मैं एक नए विंडो में यहाँ ओपन कर लेता हूँ, एंड लेट्स बेसिकली पुट इट ओवर हियर, राइट, एंड इसको छोटा कर लेते हैं, वी कैन जस्ट पुट इट राइट हियर, राइट। So this is our sample folder, and let's also make it a little bit smaller in size. We can just simply put it here. So now we have both the folders open, and we have a terminal over here, right? So this is the terminal. These are both the folders that you can see on the top, right? So ultimately what I will do, I will copy a file to my sample folder. Right now my sample folder is empty, as you can see. If I go into cd sample, right, yeah, ls kar lete sample ko seedha, you would see that it is right now empty. Nothing is showing up because it is obviously empty, right? Now the point is I would like to copy this Java file, 4.java file into sample folder. How do I do that? एक तो है मैं ड्रैग कर दूं इसको, या राइट क्लिक करके कॉपी करके इनसाइड हियर आई वुड राइट क्लिक एंड पेस्ट, बट no GUI, right? Let's try to do it with my command line. So I would use a command called as cp। सीपी कमांड क्या करता है? इट कॉपीज समथिंग, मूव से पेस्ट होता है, ठीक है रफिक? सो बेसिकली सीपी कमांड का हम यूज करेंगे, सीपी वुड बेसिकली कॉपी दैट थिंग। सो कॉपी करने के लिए मैंने यहाँ पे लिया सीपी, एंड देन आई हैव टू गिव द सोर्स, राइट, एंड सोर्स के बाद मेरे को देना है डेस्टिनेशन। तो पहले आप दोगे सोर्स, एंड देन यू हैव टू गिव डेस्टिनेशन, राइट? व्हाट इज द सोर्स ऑफ द फाइल, देन व्हाट इज द डेस्टिनेशन ऑफ द फाइल। तो एक बार हम सोर्स दे देंगे, फिर डेस्टिनेशन दे देंगे, दैट इज हाउ इट वुड वर्क, राइट? तो सोर्स देने के लिए आई हैव टू गिव द फाइल नेम, व्हिच फाइल आई वांट टू कॉपी। सो लेट्स से आई वांट टू कॉपी 4.java, दिस इज माय सोर्स, राइट, फ्रॉम द करंट फोल्डर। वेयर आई वांट टू पेस्ट इट, सैंपल फोल्डर के अंदर, ठीक है? दैट्स इट व्हाट आई हैव टू डू, इतना मुझे लिखना है। एज सून एज आई प्रेस एंटर, इट वुड सिंपली कॉपी दिस फाइल इनटू दिस पर्टिकुलर फोल्डर, ठीक है? सो इट कॉपीज दिस फाइल इनटू दिस फोल्डर, एंड अल्टीमेटली 4.java यहाँ से यहाँ कॉपी हो गई है, राइट। आई हैव नॉट मूव्ड इट, आई हैव कॉपीड इट। ठीक है, मैंने cp कमांड का इस्तेमाल किया, मैंने सिंपल कॉपी कर लिया, दैट्स इट, प्रीटी सिंपल। ठीक है, अब कॉपी करने के बाद लेट्स से अगर मुझे कॉपी करना है बट दूसरे नाम के साथ कॉपी करना है, राइट। I want to copy the same file, but I want to copy it with a different name. For example, right now my 5.php is having 5.php name over here. Let's say this time I want to copy it to sample folder, but I want to basically, copy it with a different name. तो मैं यहाँ पे ना दूसरा नाम लिख दूंगा. I'll basically say that, okay, new file dot php. Now this particular thing would be copied with a new name. The content would remain same, but it would be copied with a new name over here, right? So ultimately you can see that it is now having new file.php as the name, right? So I have copied it, but also have renamed it while copying, right? This is the power of terminal. You can just simply copy it with a new name. Pretty simple, pretty handy, right? समझ में आया कॉपी कैसे किया मैंने? हाँ या ना बोलना in the chats. Let me know in the chats if you have understood it. Simple copy, right? Simple copy, cp command. I can copy it with a new name. I can also copy it with the same name. That's it, pretty simple. Now how do I move it, right? How do I move a file from there? So let's say I want to move this new file.php to my current folder, right? I want to move the file or cut, paste the file, new file.php to my current folder. How do I do that? I would use mv. I would use mv command over here. And with mv, I have to give the same thing. You have to give a source, then you have to give the destination, right? So whatever we would be the source we have to mention it over there, and destination जो भी हमें यहाँ पे जहाँ पे भी हमें इसको paste करना है. So MV is the point where I have to cut from. So sample folder के अंदर there is a file called as new file dot php. That is what I want to cut. And इसको मुझे कहाँ paste करना है? I want to paste it in the current folder, right? Because I am right now in my sunstone folder only. और मुझे इसी folder में paste करना है, right? So I would basically type in a single dot. ठीक है, अगर कहीं और पेस्ट करना होता तो मुझे उस फोल्डर का लोकेशन लिखना पड़ता. If I would want to paste it somewhere else, I would have to write the whole location of that folder. For example, if I'm moving it in my desktop, so I can basically write slash home slash kali slash desktop, right? But I also know that desktop is just one folder behind sunstone, तो मैं डबल डॉट बना देता जिससे ये फाइल डेस्कटॉप में चली जाएगी. But if I want to paste it in, let's say, slash user slash share, then I have to basically write the whole location, and wherever I want to write my location, it would basically take my file there. So I want to basically move it inside my current folder. So as soon as I do it, press enter, you can see the file is moved from here to here, right? The file has come from there to this new file.php, right? So it is basically coming from this location to this particular location. That's it, pretty simple. समझ में आया? इसको भी देखो, हम बेसिकली नाम चेंज के साथ भी ला सकते हैं, राइट? For example, this time I am, moving this new file.php in sample folder with a new name. तो इसको मैं वापस sample folder में डाल रहा हूँ बट दूसरे नाम के साथ. What shall be the name that we should give it? Chat में बता दो एक बार, क्या नया नाम क्या दे इसको? Let's give a new name. Let me know in the chats what name shall we use. Latest. ठीक है, latest पे देते हैं. So let's give it latest over here, right? So I'm giving it latest, right, with a capital L. And ultimately latest को हम यहाँ पे कर देते हैं .php. Make sure आप extension दे रहे हो. You need to give the extension name over here, right? So if I do this, it would go there with a different name, right? So I have moved from here to here, and ultimately it has went there with a different name, right? So you are basically changing the name of it while it is moving over there, right? So that is what I can also do, right? So this is actually how you can cut or copy the file, right? Pretty simple technique in my Linux over here. अच्छा, I'm giving you a command. Let me know इसका output क्या होगा, ठीक है? So I'm having this main dot class over here, this particular file main dot class, and I'm basically moving it in the current folder, right? But with a different name. Let's say इसका नाम रख देते हैं new java dot class. So what would be the output of this particular command? इसका output क्या लग रहा है क्या होगा? So I'm taking the main.class file and moving it in the current folder only with a new name. What would happen? सोचो एक बार chats में बताओ. Let me know in the chats. Error? Okay. What about others? What would it do if I just move it, cut and paste it in the current folder only without, sorry, with a new name? What should happen? Main.class is moved to new class.java. हाँ, that is what we are doing, but there is no folder. हम current folder में ही कर. So what would happen? मतलब move तो हो जाएगा, but what would that signify? There would be no error, Fazil, right? Any other answers? Any other answers? क्या हो सकता है? What would happen over here? दो फाइल्स क्रिएट होंगी शायद. ओके, चलाकर देखते हैं इसको. तो इफ आई जस्ट प्रेस एंटर, it would see that the file name has been changed. राइट, मेन का नाम यही चेंज हो जाएगा. यस, तो ये यही नाम जो है वो मेन का चेंज हो गया. एंड दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव डन. सो mv कमांड से वी आर जस्ट cutting the file, pasting it in the same folder but with a different name, and that is how we rename the things in Linux, right? Even Windows में भी ऐसे ही rename होता है. The file's name is not changed, but basically the same file is cut and paste only there, and it would basically move to a new name, right? So that is how it works, right? There's a restriction. क्या restriction है यशवंत? Let me know. So basically, we can rename a file using mv command. So mv command is actually used for renaming a file, right? So pretty simple. If you want to rename a file, you can use mv, and that's it. How you can rename a file. So ultimately, you can see अगर मुझे किसी और का नाम change करना है, let's say c output का नाम I want to change over here. So c output, and then I have to give anything, for example, executable रखना है मुझे इसका नाम. तो pretty simple. देखो जैसे ही मैंने ये चलाया, इसका नाम executable हो गया. Right. So ultimately, with this particular mv command, you can just simply, you know, change the name. It's used for rename over there, right? So you can also rename with mv command. So mv command can rename, nv command can cut and paste, and then ultimately cp command can copy and paste, right? अगर multiple files copy करनी है ना तो वो भी हो जाएगा. For example, ये देखो, if I want to copy this 2.py, 3.cpp, 5.php to one particular folder, but last में I have to give the name of my destination folder. So ultimately, it's something like this. It would be like source one, right? Source two, right? And then ultimately source 2, then ultimately source 3, then destination, right? So you can give as many sources as you want, right? But in the end, you have to give the destination. Okay. So ultimately, you can give as many sources as you want, and then at the end, it would basically give a destination. So if you want, basically, you would need to basically go around with 2.py, 3.cpp, 3.cpp, 4.java is already there, so I will not be copying it. 5.php, right? And the last thing I would basically give over here would be my sample folder. So sample, that's it. All the files will get copied there, right? So pretty simple. That is how I can just basically copy these files. And even I can just move them back, right? और मैं एक साथ दे सकता हूँ. Let's say एक बार यहाँ से 4.java डिलीट कर देते हैं. So rm4.java, right, from my current folder, and let's remove other files as well, right? So rm2.py, rm3.cpp, rm5.php, right? So I'm just deleting all the files. Now what I would do is that I would simply just bring all these files back to my Sunstone folder. ठीक है, sample folder से इधर ले आऊंगा. Pretty simple. I'll use mv command, and then ultimately sample के अंदर I want to move all the files, right? So I would basically put a star over there. Star का क्या मतलब हुआ? सारी की सारी files, and where I would like to move them in the current folder. So इस तरीके से I can move all the files in my current folder. ठीक है, तो मतलब you can do it like this. There are certain shortcuts कि आपको सारी फाइलें करनी है तो you can use that star symbol, or you want to basically give multiple files, so you can give the names of multiple files over here, then last from the destination you can give, and ultimately it would perform in the similar manner, right? So if I do that, it would move all the files from my sample to current folder. That is how it would particularly work, right? There's a execute error or happen or not, sir. Execute error कहाँ पे किसमें? MV command में there is no execute error as of here, right? So ultimately that is how we can simply just particularly move certain files or copy certain files, right? Hope ये चीज समझ में आ गई हो. Let me know in the chats with a yes or no if you have understood cut, copy, paste, move, rename वगैरह ये सब समझ में आ गया है तो then we can move forward with certain more commands over here, right? Yes. Okay. So let's move forward, right? जब डॉट पाई फाइल क्रिएट किया तो पाइथन वाला आइकन नहीं आता है. उसके अंदर डेटा जैसे ही लिख के सेव करोगे ना, वंस यू सेव दैट पर्टिकुलर फाइल यू विल सी द आइकन वुड चेंज. ठीक है, मतलब उसमें देयर शुड बी सम डेटा and that data should be written in Python, and ultimately when you save it it would show you the icon. ठीक है, मतलब ये जैसे ही बनाओगे तब शो नहीं करेगा, you have to write something in it. Okay, then let's go ahead, and what we want to see is that there are certain files that we created, right? So rmdir कर देते हैं अभी sample को, या फिर it's even empty but we can do rmrf, right? rmrf sample को कर देते हैं. So sample को rmrf कर दिया, ठीक है, इधर भी sample बंद हो गया and sunstone folder is there now. Close it, right? So ultimately now what we can do is we can try to basically use grep, right? Now it would ask sir what is grep. तो grep को देखो कुछ इस तरीके से इस्तेमाल करते हैं. Let's see, we have some data, right? Let's basically go around with this 4.java, right? So cat 4.java, right? This is the data that is written in grep, sorry, written in my Java file. Now let's say there would be a huge file that we want to look into the data, right? So ultimately, let's see there is a huge file. You can take any particular file which could have huge data. Now we want to search certain data in that particular file. Okay. So how you would basically search the data in the file? अभी यहाँ पे ऐसा तो है नहीं that you can double click on the file and see what the file is, and ultimately then you can use control F to basically find it, right? Because you're not opening the file in the notepad, right? So here what you can do, you can use grep, right? So with grep what I can do, I can use for.java only. I would cat it, but here I would use a pipe symbol and use grep, right? Now grep का क्या मतलब है? It would basically search for a word which you would give. So let's say I want to search for the word called as hello. मैं hello word को ढूंढना चाहता हूँ. Now that the word hello is basically there on this particular line, right? This particular line has the word hello. So this particular line would only be outputted. So you can see this particular line is only outputted over here, and ultimately hello is basically covered in the red particular format over here, right? Not only that, but ये करता क्या है pipe symbol and grep? Grep का तो देखो simple सा काम है. It is simply just doing its work. It is just finding the data. But what does grep, before that grep, what this particular pipe symbol is doing? So this pipe symbol is sending the output of this command into the input of this command. ठीक है, मतलब ध्यान से समझना. Pipe symbol क्या करता है? It basically uses certain thing. Now you can use as many command with as many pipe symbols as you want to make the automation, right? So command one, and if there is a pipe symbol, you can give command two, right? And if there is a again a pipe symbol, you can have command three, right? And all of the commands would work in a sequential order, right? Pehle command one would execute, and this particular command one, the output of this particular command, what goes into input is anything, right? What comes out of the output with command one will go as the input to command two. Then the command two's output will go from command two to command three as the input, and then the output of that particular command will be shown to you, right? So ultimately, this is how it would work. So basically, what would happen with the pipe symbol, the output of the first command, right, will go to the output of the second input of the second command, and the output of the second command would go to the input of the third command, and so on, right? Here we have used just one pipe symbol over here, That is why the output of this particular thing. What is the output for 4.java? The output for 4.java is this. The whole class thing that we are basically getting, this is the output of my 4.java. And this output went as an input to my grep command, right? So now grep has the access to all this data. And between this particular data, my grep is searching for hello. And as soon as my grep found that it is on this particular line, grep just simply output this particular line over here to let me know that, okay, this is basically the point, or this is basically the line where you would find hello over here, right? So this is the point, and we have this particular this thing. We have particular find kind of functionality. How do we find certain word in a certain list or in a certain file over there? So grep का जो main है वो इस तरीके से काम करता है, and grep के अंदर I want, if I want to basically do the line number and stuff कि भाई ये line number भी print कर दे किस पे है, so I can basically use line number as well, right? And I can work with that, right? So ultimately, I have to write the same command over here. Just a sec, right? So is bar, I can basically go around and I can basically use dash n with my grep, and it would show me the line numbers as well, right? So it shows me the line number as well, that it is basically on line number 3, right? As you can see, if I just use cat command, hello is basically on line number 3 only. 1, 2, and 3. Right. Also, what I can do is I can basically write more hellos in this particular thing. So let's open my 4.java, and ultimately in this particular file, let's write more output, or more, sorry, more input over here. And let's write the file over here. Hello world. This is a new file, right? And let's basically make it a comment, right? Hello world. This is a new file. Hi, this is a comment, right? And this is just a hello world file, right? So मैंने ये लिख दिया है इसके अंदर. And ultimately now if I do cat, so you can see that it has now a lot of data. And now if I basically try to do a grep in it, right? Hello पे मैंने grep किया, तो देखो it would print all the lines which would have hello, right? पहले ये वाली line भी आ गई, then this line also, then this line also, right? It didn't show this middle line because it didn't have the word hello in it. Now ultimately I can also print the line numbers with using dash n, and it would basically print a line number. That first hello is on line 3, second hello is on line 7, ninth hello is on, sorry, third hello is on line 9. So it basically shows me all these kind of things over here, right? So that is how we can easily understand that how my grep would work, right? We can simply just try to basically print certain things and ultimately understand how these kind of things work, right? Or ये additional functionality हो जाती है in your Linux, because um, time to time you would need these kind of things to understand how the this particular thing is working, right? So समझ में आया grep कैसे काम कर रहे हैं या फिर pipe symbol कैसे काम कर रहे हैं? Okay. So let's go ahead and let's try to basically move forward with this particular thing. Okay. तो अभी हमारे पास क्या है कि अभी we would basically go around and let's basically try to see certain more commands over here. कि और क्या क्या commands हमारे पास हो सकते हैं. तो जैसे हमने ये पढ़ा, right? And ultimately we now know that these kind of things are working. We can also see Linux के अंदर किस तरीके के processes काम कर रहे हैं. तो प्रोसेसेस वगैरह को चेकआउट करने के लिए व्हाट आई कैन डू इज आई कैन बेसिकली ट्राई टू यूज द कमांड ps tree, ठीक है, मैं PS ट्री का यूज कर सकता हूँ ना। PS ट्री वुड बेसिकली शो मी all the processes, right? It would show me all the processes over here, right? कि कौन कौन से processes यहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं and कौन सा process क्या क्या चला रहा है, right? So ultimately we have this particular thing over here कि कौन सा process कैसे काम कर रहा है। Linux में usually processes को ना daemons कहते हैं, ठीक है? तो we have this system D, that is the system daemon over here, and ultimately this process has open modem manager और उसके साथ साथ ये सब चीज़ें काम कर रही है, network manager which is working on network, giving me the IP address and all। अकाउंट्स डीमन मेरा पूरा अकाउंट्स के ऊपर काम कर रहा है, राइट। एंड अगेटी इज बेसिकली यूज फॉर माई टर्मिनल, कलर डी, और ये सब बेसिकली काम कर रहे हैं। दीज इज बेसिकली ऑल माई process list, that which process have invoked which particular process. That is how I can simply work over here, right? Now the processes are working in this manner, and we are basically having all these processes like this. So ultimately we can simply work out this particular thing over here. Now, processes के अलावा you can also go for certain other things. For example, if you want to understand which user is currently logged in, you can use who am I. This would basically give you the idea that which user is logged in. Although this particular command does not have an effect, does not have a value over here, because you can already see which user is logged in by this particular user. But ultimately, most of the times when you will take an access into a system, you would not get the name written over here. You would just get a prompt like a dollar or hash symbol. So ultimately, with who am I, you can actually check what is the name of the user I'm currently logged into, right? Then ultimately, if you type in the command uname, it would give you basically the simple Linux information. So just a Linux operating system that we are having, right? So if I just type in uname dash a, I would get all the information of my Linux, right? So I'm using Linux 6.10.9. It's called as Kali 6.10.9 is the main edition of it. We're using basically which edition of it, when what is the latest installation that you have got of your operating system, that is of 9th September. So I'm having 2024.3 as of now, right? So ultimately, my Kali that I downloaded is 2023.3, but still it is upgraded to 2024.3 as of now. So we have this over here, right? So that is how I can easily understand this particular thing. And yes, the last thing, how do we update our Linux? So to update our Linux, I do have to use sudo apt update, right? So apt is the aptitude or basically the package manager of my Linux, and मुझे apt यहाँ पर लगाना पड़ेगा to basically download this particular point, or to basically get all the things downloaded from the Linux own Kali's own repository, right? होता क्या है कि पहले आपकी repository अपडेट होती है और फिर उसके अकॉर्डिंग चीजें अपग्रेड होती है. So whenever I run the update command, what it would do that it would simply just make note of the things that what kind of new tools are available, what kind of I would not say tools, I would say packages, right? What kind of new packages are available, what kind of packages are need to be upgraded, what are the packages that are deprecated now and they would be deleted, what are the packages that need no update and currently are not having any update as of now. So once I just click on or run this particular update over here, it would simply start making a list of it, right? So if I just basically give my password as I'm using sudo, right, it would basically start making a list of it. And right now it is making a list that which packages are actually upgradable, which packages are not upgradable. So before actually upgrading, you need to once just simply run this particular update command to actually understand that, okay, these are the packages that are needing to be updated as of now. Okay, so this would simply just upgrade your packet system and just upgrade all your packages that would basically have over here, right? So this is how you can do that. Now, once you have done this update, right, as you can see the update has been finished over here, then you can run a new command which would be called as sudo apt upgrade. So one is update and the second one is upgrade. So you can basically see that 1609 packages can be upgraded, right? So I would basically go around with uh, sudo apt upgrade. Now, if I simply just upgrade it, it would upgrade all the possible 1609 packages. But if I basically go around with dist upgrade, it would basically take my Linux to a newer edition. That is how I'm having the latest edition of my Kali over here. So if I do dist upgrade, it would simply install all these upgrades as well. But again, with that, it would simply just try to upgrade to a newer distribution. That means 2024.4, right? So I'll basically upgrade it to that. So if I just run this, you would see that there are like 1609 packages that needs upgrading. 45 new processes or 45 new packages are needed to be installed. So these are new packages that I'm getting, new 45 packages. 5 packages would be removed, right? And there is nothing that would not be upgraded. Everything would need an update when you are updating to a new um, operating system. Right. So ultimately, the download size is 3 GB. So I would need 3 GB. And after downloading 3 GB, it would just take 1.1 GB more. As I have enough space, so I can proceed with that. So these are the 5 packages that would be deleted for now because these would not be useful for me as well. And you can see the previous Linux image would be deleted and a new Linux image would be downloaded. These are the packages which are suggested, right? If I would basically have it, it would be good. These are the packages that would be needing as a dependency to run these new packages, right? So ultimately, you can see that these are the packages which are going to be getting updated over here. So a huge list has been given to me, all the 1609, right, which are needed to be upgraded as of now. As it's been a lot of time since I'm upgrading it, so that is why it is there. Right, then these are certain dependencies that are not that are no longer required. So I can also remove them by sudo apt remove after I have finished my update, right? So ultimately, this is asking me the permission, and right now I just have to type if I type n, it would not do it. If I type y, it would basically go around and proceed with the upgrade. Acha, make sure that once you have started the upgrade, you do not stop it in the between. Because if you stop it in the between, right, you have to run it once again at the same time. Make sure कि आपका Linux बंद ना हो. If it gets shut down और shut down के बाद आप वापस खोलते हो ना, अगर यहाँ पे बीच में if it gets shut down, the whole process can get bricked. पूरा का पूरा process break हो जाएगा. Right, I'm just stopping it so that I can easily talk over here, otherwise Zoom would lag with my audio, right? So ultimately uh, I would start it. अभी मैंने बोला stop नहीं करना, but Control C press करके I've stopped this command, but I would run it after I will end the class and I'll let it just download everything. Because if you just stop it in the middle, right, your logs would get corrupted and you would not be able to start it the next time and the whole Linux would get bricked. Okay, you need to reinstall it or you have to fix each package one by one. So better than that, just whenever you are upgrading, make sure you're upgrading at the correct time. You have enough internet and you have enough time to basically or enough charging to basically proceed with that. So make sure you do upgrade and you do not stop it in the between. ठीक है, it's a pro tip because मैंने ये चीजें 2-3 बार करके देखी है when I was not aware of these facts as a Linux user, the new beginner Linux user, and I've lost a lot of files and I've lost a lot of time fixing that, right? So make sure to do these kind of things, or it's best practice to not to stop it in the middle, right? So yeah, that is all for today. We have learned some basic and some good commands, right? इसके बाद आप अपनी Linux को use करना easily proceed कर सकते हो, right? Next, we will be going into the working of Linux in a way that we would basically learn the file system or the process of file storing in my Linux. That is what we would be studying, right, in tomorrow's session, and then we would basically move forward to our this particular thing. We will move forward to our information gathering and stuff, right? So परसों से हम लोग proper cyber security का जो हमारा main session रहेगा, right? We would be doing that. So yeah, that is the thing. Okay, so that is all from my side for today. There's the feedback link in the chats that you can fill it out for today. And yeah, thanks a lot guys for attending the session and just learning it with me. ठीक है, कोई डाउट हो तो प्लीज लेट मी नो, अदरवाइज आई विल बी जस्ट सेंडिंग द मीटिंग ओवर हियर. Feedback form is in the chats, so go around, fill up the feedback form, and yeah, very good night to everyone.